This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Parshas Pinchas, at Shlishi, there's a part of the Parsha which really flies under the radar. There's so many interesting things in the Parsha, we tend to lose focus on a small little inyan mentioned in the beginning, in the middle of the Parsha, and that is the inyan of Nachal, of inheritance. The Pasuk says, La'ela techale ka'aretz, to these, Eretz Yisrael will be divided, b'nachala, b'misbar shemais, by the number of names. And the question is, this is a very unusual expression, by the number of names. Normally, the Torah will say, l'golgolaisam, by the head count. One for him, you count by head. And yet, over here, the Torah does not say l'golgolaisam, it says, b'misbar shemais, by the number of names. Says Reb Chaim Kanievsky, a most amazing pshat. The Ramban offers a solution. Says Reb Chaim Kanievsky, there's a medrash. The medrash tells us about Ashmadai, the king of the demons, who comes to Shlomo HaMelech, and he pulls out from under the earth a man that had two heads, like a Siamese twins. And he says, Shlomo, what is this? Is this a one-headed guy, a two-headed guy, one person, two people? He has two heads. What is this? So Shlomo HaMelech had an amazing solution. He filled up his cup with hot water from the urn. He poured it on the head of one of them, and the other guy screamed, ouch. So Shlomo said, it's one guy. If only one person says ouch, there's only one person over here. Says Reb Chaim Kanievsky, the reason why the Torah tells us that inheritance is given by the number of names and not by head count is because the Torah is telling us what the halacha would be by a person with two heads. Someone with two heads, is he going to get one share in Eretz Yisrael, or is he going to get two shares in Eretz Yisrael? So if the Torah would have said l'golgolaisam by head count, then he would get two shares. So the Torah doesn't say l'golgolaisam. The Torah says b'misbar shemais, he's one person, like Shlomo HaMelech has discovered. You pour hot water on one head, the other guy says ouch. It's one person, one inheritance. This amusing medrash brings to mind a very important thought for this time of the year, the 3 weeks. You know, there are many types of Jews, there are many shvatim, many opinions, many attitudes, many ways of looking at things, but we have to view ourselves as we may be two-headed. I have my head, you have your head. But if chas v'shalom, another Jew has a tzara, another Jew has a difficulty, we have to be the ones to scream ouch. We have to feel the pain. We have to realize that down here in this world, we may be separate entities, we may be different people, but in Shamayim, we're guf echad. The Nefesh HaChaim writes, the Svarim tell us, that the majority of our neshama is actually not in our bodies. The part of our neshama that's in our bodies is only the bottom part of the neshama. But the majority of the neshama is actually right now in Shamayim Tachas Kisei HaKavod. And in Shamayim Tachas Kisei HaKavod, the neshama is really one entity. So down here in this world, I'm me, you're you, and he's him. But in Shamayim, it would look like rays emanating from Shamayim, where in Shamayim it's only one neshama, it's Nishmas Yisrael. And down here in this earth, it's separate into different neshamos. So the same way when Shlomo HaMelech poured that water on the two-headed monster, the other head screamed out, because it's one guf, it's one entity. Klal Yisrael we have to view as guf echad, as one entity. The Medrash says that Klal Yisrael is compared to the seh, the sheep. The Medrash says there is a unique phenomenon about the sheep that no other animal has. That is, an animal, you take a bat, you hit it on the leg, its leg will hurt, but its feet won't, its hands won't hurt, its head won't hurt. The sheep, if it gets a bruise in one part of the body, the entire body of the sheep hurts. So too Klal Yisrael. If one Jew has a tzara, everybody should feel it. Everyone has to feel it. Brings to mind the story of the guy who is on a boat. He's traveling on the boat, and he's in his cabin, and he drills a hole in the boat, and the whole ship is sinking. So people come running, what are you doing? You're crazy. He said, what's your problem? It's my cabin. I can do whatever I want. It's my territory. He says, yep, but it's one boat. So we have to realize that what one Jew does affects the whole organism, affects the whole Klal Yisrael. If one Jew has a tzara, everyone has to feel it. If one Jew has a simcha, everyone has to feel it. We have to view it as if we're guf echad. And this lesson that Shlomo HaMelech learned about this two-headed monster, which is one guf, is something that we should view and we should feel and have that attitude toward the entire Klal Yisrael. Rabbi Agun Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.